felt like I didn't have much like livelihood or purpose to offer until I got involved in this project. So I started to offer a little bit of who I am and where I'm at. My ancestry is I'm Pākehā. My ancestry is from the British Isles in Europe, mostly, and I'm proud to be tangata tiriti, person who is dedicated to upholding the Treaty of Waitangi. Well, tiriti or Waitangi, the Maori language version of that. Please take a deep breath in.
Yeah.
Aio ki te nuku, aio ki te rangi, ko te kawa ora e. Nā mihi to te kāhui iwi o Taranaki, this place, which we are situated, and the amazing Permaculture Green School, which inspires us, and we're lucky enough to be able to hang out in for a little while. And permaculture, this permanent agriculture, permanent culture, that draws us together and inspires us so much. Yeah, like I said, my name's Leo. I live in Wanganui. The project I'm part of is in Wanganui. Lindy, look familiar?
Yeah.
This was a photo taken up on a drone from a drone at the land where the project is situated, which Melinda Hatherley here lived on for nearly 20 years. And when I chose the photo for the background, I was like, oh, the mists in the morning. Just seeing, it's actually pine pollen.
Oh, gosh.
It's amazing. It's a pretty heavy fall there. Eh?
Oh, wow.
I always wash things after the pine pollen falls in spring. Yeah, so this talk is about, I have notes. This talk, I'm just looking to cover the learning environment. Oh yeah, there it is. The learning environment. I want to talk about what this project's vision is and the reason. The connection with the permaculture community, because it's really strong. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing without mentors, elders, friends, and inspirations. The journey so far is mostly what I've been talking about. The learning environments as a project, where we began. I told you it was temperamental. We'll see.
We're a very tolerant audience.
Cool. I'll just swap it on here if it doesn't work in a minute. I think it's the adapter. Cool. Yeah, so I'll mostly talk about the journey so far, from the planning stages through to finding Lindy and Murray, to building some infrastructure and where we are now. And I want to just talk about the successes and the challenges. And generally, I'm just here to say, hey, we're here and we're doing things, and it's thanks to this community that we are in many ways. So.
And you're doing amazing things.
Hey, thanks.
I can't tell you how extraordinary it is to see what this organism of people has done to the land. It's just
Cool, try that.
yeah. Here we are,
you.
getting to the stability. Anyway, just after you.
Thanks,
Leo
Lindy.
and
Yeah.
your friends. Yeah.
Yeah. So our vision. So I'm one of about 7 or 8 vision holders who, from about 2017, 2018, we started talking about what are some of the ways that we can have a positive impact in the world. A bunch of activists, permaculturalists, and we're like, we don't feel effective. Don't feel like we're doing too good. There's cool examples of things out there which are something that's good, but not fully made. And so what we've come up with is the idea of a land-based living campus, a learning centre where the learning centre isn't the bricks and mortar, it's the landscape, it's the workspaces, and it's the people who are there with you. It's not about, oh, here's the university. It's about, oh, we're the university, so to speak. It's not a university, but and as you can see here, there's this picture of a beautiful landscape, a pond, and people dancing, planting, working, and we are striving to create that on this beautiful piece of land that Lindy and her ex-partner Murray stewarded for so long, and are grateful for what's there now that we can build on.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
It's late. So can you just tell me where you are physically?
Oh yeah, we're in Wanganui,
Okay, great. Thank you.
in Papaiti in Wanganui, so on the banks of the Wanganui River, about 15 k's inland from the sea, but still, hey, cool.
Is that
If we can, I think it might be not extend screen, but or not duplicate screen, but extend.
it's PC, I don't know.
Sure, sweet. I'll try those. I'll try that. Okay.
It's more like it.
Hey,
You know, with it.
we'll go with that. Oh. And 15 k's inland from the ocean, the river there is still tidal. It's amazing. Yeah, so this space, it's not about the bricks and mortar, it's about the land, holding space for us all to connect with it. So there's a why, and here's some facts and figures that we drew because a lot of people really need why, because we do fundraising, and so we can see here we're going to draw links with just a few things, but it speaks a bigger story that we can, we can't prove some things, but we're going to draw conclusions from it. So in 2012, adults were experiencing mood or anxiety disorders about 16%, young people 9.9, and 10 years later it's higher.
Way up.
Okay? The average annual land and ocean temperature is rising over that time as well. And we are told about that all the time in a really scary way. And screen time's up by higher amount.
We're looking at the screen now, right?
Yeah, but luckily it's really a nice big one. Cool pictures of it. And what we basically have is we think that there's a link there, and we're just gonna call it disconnection. When we feel worried, it's the connection with our people around us who bring us out of it. Phones can be connective; they can also be really disconnective in screens. So this is just really a tiny piece of why we think that people need connection with the land, each other, and themselves. So in that vision, this vision, we think that people need those things, connection, and we're here to heal people by healing the land, heal the land by healing people. We do a lot of wetland plantings. Wanganui River is a huge influence on us. We focus on our waterways as a measure for entire ecosystem health. But we're also here to address social injustices, and like I was mentioning before, just to start that dialogue about the fact that our society is still deeply colonial, and in some cases we'll hit people over the head with it, not literally, and in others it's just this thing we weave into things without necessarily saying colonialism. And amend it. So some vision.
Leo, when you say that 15 kilometres from the coast, it's still tidal,
Yeah.
do you mean that the water is brackish or just that it rises and falls?
Well, I don't taste it often,
Nah.
but it's probably layering. It means it's tidal. It means that some days I look out at the river and it's flowing up river,
Oh,
and then
wow.
times down.
That's tidal.
Unless it's been raining really hard up Permaculture way,
Wow.
and then it's going out. So let's see. Yeah, we strive to work at community level because a lot of us feel like that's one of the most effective places to find resilience. We strive to encourage a resilient community. This is a cool photo at the end of a week-long youth camp, working with people like early school leaders, at-risk youth, and like young leaders in the community. And that's one of the first two large-scale learning experiences that we've hosted. In other ways, it's been just hosting a school for a day or running like land-based training courses and that sort of thing. But these are the sorts of learning experiences we want to be hosting long-term. We've also run a 7-month, 3 days a week program especially with at-risk youth. And it was transformative and challenging and all sorts of things. So we're invested in community first. That's mainly where we work. We also have hosted some international university groups. They find us through people like the Quakers. There's a big Quaker settlement in Wanganui, beautiful community. But really it's like community level is a high impact space. What do we have if we don't have our neighbours, you know?
So is it residential? Do they stay over?
Our project's non-residential. Like, I don't live there.
Right.
I'm lucky enough to live close by, but we started this project, this 8 of us, and I'll talk about the timeline story a little bit. It was outsiders to Wanganui, and the story of people arriving with something that they think you need and making a community, it's been repeated a lot. It's not always the worst thing in the world, but it's just something we wanted to avoid. So Wanganui has a community. It's Wanganui.
Yeah.
It's the marae that's really close to us, and it's the schools and things. So we lived in the community. There's a tiny house on the property where we have woofers at times. A few of us lived there with Lindy and Murray at times. And but the goal was, at some point when we were planning, we went, I think we need to not be residential. That was hard to swallow. We thought we were building our future entirely, but we sought funding from lots of people, from peers. We crowdsourced money to purchase the land. And it's okay at times, but for this we decided we just don't want to have the confusion. So we're non-residential, but we have campsites. We want to build accommodations so that people can come and we can, bunk rooms, party style sleeping, maybe even rent them out at cost to help cover some of our costs. Because I'll get to it, but we also started this project without debt. We had gone into debt and just scraped by, and it's going okay. What's next? Well, here's people like pictures, eh? So the river's over here, Wanganui River flowing to the sea from the mountains, and we've got it's a beautiful piece of land with trees, 20, 30 more years old, hills, and this stream here is the boundary, this side of the stream, so we include the stream on our property, which is flowing from the hills up this way, over here, through the last kilometre of the farm. Its last kilometre goes through the farm before it reaches the Wanganui River. We've got hills and trees, regenerating bush, which is, where it faces the sun, it's gorsy. Where it faces the shade, it's actually got more established natives. We're really lucky to be operating in this beautiful place with these apple trees that Lindy planted. And so here's a picture. I might nip back and forth between it at times. So throw questions at me, because sometimes while I'm talking I lose the next thread. Yeah,
just thinking about your gorse, and other people have spoken about interplanting amongst gorse and letting gorse do the nitrogen fixing.
Yeah.
So,
we love gorse. Gorse is not your mate if you want to grow pastures, but the land doesn't want to be a pasture.
So I'm talking about food forest,
Yeah.
Just a conversion from gorse to food forest or woodlot or something.
Yeah, I won't get into it too much, but these slopes here, and especially this gully, and this slope here, we're just slowly food foresting them as we have capacity. And I wouldn't necessarily cut the gorse out; it cut a whole plant something. But now, we spent about 3 years before finding a piece of land, or before we tried to put spade to the ground, for example. Planning, thinking, discussing deciding what our organizational structure would look like, one of our members, Dave Hursthouse, who might be known to some people here, he did some study on organizational structures and pulling the wisdom of indigenous cultures into, because they're doing so well and always have, into how organizations can be structured. Decision making it's not about consensus, it's about consent, and there's a whole world there. There's a place for hierarchy or people holding responsibility and decisions, but we use it very sparingly. And we also want to model on the environment. Like a forest is a self-sustaining, beautiful structure. And it's not necessarily hierarchical, but there are different things doing different important things. We have this beautiful image of how early days when we were trying to describe to people what we're doing and look pretty flash and shiny to potential funders. And we said, picture this like a forest. This is top-down view of a forest. And of course, we're in the middle because funders like that, but I don't picture it that way. I picture us off here. But we've got everything is connected in multiple ways. The ecosystem is what we're drawing our learnings from. And our well-being is intrinsic in the community. Our education, sometimes people come and they don't even know that they're going through a learning experience. And it's great fun. So just a little image there to help you sort of see what we're striving for is connectedness, nestedness. There's an idea of whole, just holistic, as in little whole units, but not whole without each other parts.
That hierarchical thing that you're talking about is really interesting because some of the indigenous societies that do seem to have a hierarchy, but those at the very top of it are entirely answerable to those at the very bottom and can't do a single thing, wouldn't dare.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. What sort of hierarchy is that?
Yeah.
Not that in this country, it seems. Well,
People who are in power should be at the service of
Yeah, we do
those.
to a degree.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
where's that?
Responsibilities for what happens on land, for fire, for safety, so a landowner or a trustee does have a lot of responsibilities.
They're answerable, and that's especially answerable in the law. And the law is a construct of this world where we've been told there are hierarchies like that.
Yeah, and so
Think about-
responsible to local government and central government.
Yeah, it's a really interesting discussion. I'll drive this forward, but generally I would say a reluctant leader is great because they're just being at service, or maybe not always, but I like a leader who's serving their constituent or their people, but they're trusted as well. Like, yeah, I want you to make the decision because I trust you, but I think you've just heard everyone that has something to say. Something like that. And we are coming back to that a little bit in our structure. Because actually, people need it. The community goes, who do I talk to, actually?
Sure.
Like, talk to this guy about that, and then this, So there's, so I just want to talk a little bit about a connection with permaculture. So that was our vision, a little bit about what we're doing, what it looks like, and I'll talk about the journey, which will give you a better idea of it. But we got here in big part thanks to permaculture. I met some of the people that in this project with. I managed to find a slide of a few faces. I love faces too, to connect with. I found these people through permaculture. I did a permaculture course with Robina and Dave, and someone named Courtney, who's passed now, was a huge influence and mentor. And Dave and Emma here, who was here yesterday, Hapu, they were students of Trish Allen, who's spoken here. We've worked with Finn Mackesy. Some of us went to India for the International Permaculture Convergence, and it was so formative. And we've cut our teeth on some of the dialogue that springs up in permacultural communities. What's it for? Is it effective? Like, where did this knowledge and wisdom come from? It's actually, none of it's new. And is permaculture another form of colonization? Kind of. But also it's creating dialogue which is more acceptable in the major sphere of people's lives. And we can also attribute where this wisdom's come from. So all of this stuff was so enlivening for us that when we got together and said, what's a way we can express this, that we can make it accessible to other people, but also what purpose have we found in this community? How can we bring that to people that maybe wouldn't be attracted to permaculture? So we are a permacultural organization, but we just don't use the word that often, all the time. Some people love it. Some people are like, oh, it doesn't sound like my kind of thing. But I'll come pot up plants, and I'd love to pick some apples. So those connections are there and strong. And it's how we found this land in Wanganui when we were looking. The last hui in Riverton, 4 years ago or something. 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Dave went to that hui, a few of us did, and on the last day he remembered, oh, we're an organisation looking for land. I'll just put this pamphlet down that he'd drawn of the vision, a valley, and in the valley you can see lots of things, people dancing, and people gardening in the orchards, meditation spaces, big community spaces, and he tells the story that Ron Fisher? Ron Spoon, who was there and curating a little bit. He took Dave's hand, and Dave likes to tell, it's really funny, he says, I don't think Ron's ever touched me in my life, and then he's grabbing my hand. I need you to come and meet my friend, and he brings over to Murray Jones, not here today.
Yeah.
And Lindy has said, would you like to tell this part? That you...
I said to Murray, we've tossed a coin to go down to Uri, and Murray got the toss, and I said, find us young people for the land. Yeah.
And Murray had seen this thing, and he saw the valley that you lived in, the land.
Like the valley.
And he said, this is the farm and your young people. And I
Yeah.
actually feel emotional now.
Yeah.
Because it's so fortuitous and it's changed my life. Yeah, and it's so funny when the tears come,
Yeah.
they roll. So
Yeah.
it's not a good hui without some tears. Yeah, so we're really, really grateful for that connectivity, because we weren't looking in Wanganui, we were looking in Gisborne, Auckland, Northland, looking for sort of a certain climate. And Wanganui is so understated. It's got the climate, it's got the rainfall, it's got the water in the landscape, and it's got the wisdom of the Wanganui River, which we're really lucky to have been invited into. And we'll never try capitalise on that, but to be able to spin it into the wisdom that we can offer up is really special too. So, so here's some pictures of the learning environment farm. So, yeah, it's been a journey. So I'm just gonna flick through photos as we go and talk a bit about the journey so far. So it was about three years of talking, and we came up with a trust deed, an organizational structure, and a learning model based on Emma's studies. Emma's an incredible town planner, but an educator, and her mind is so easily able to comprehend the way that people need to have a journey to learn, and embodied learning. And so we spent that time planning. We found the land with Lindy, and in 2020 you invited a couple of people to, because you go away at times for grafting, to live on the farm and take care of it a bit, get to know the place, get to know each other. It's naturally how it would be. I came for a visit, but others were there at the time, and it was very much a place that had its own energy, and it was left to its own devices often. The land loves it when you're there on your own, you said to me once. It's so true. And over time we realised, yes, I think this is the place, and we started kind of operating on a lease, certain parts of the farm, running the gardens, the marakai, and wanting to, do some co-design between us, so doing our own learning with the land with you, and having a couple of school groups out. And then we started a funding campaign that we fundraised to buy the land as a trust, under a charitable trust. And we wanted to make sure we didn't deplete the funding that Wanganui offers because actually there are people who are from that place working in community already. So we sought, we did a private crowdfund and sought a lot of help from people who are professional crowdfunders and an international audience as well as a personal audience. We were speaking to people, asking them if they'd donated, but and also asking them to spread the net wider. It never went on Facebook or anything like that. And it was like I've never seen some of that crew so fraught and like worn out after that. But we raised just about $800,000 buy the land outright, and that's amazing. So we were able to start this project without debt going in, and we are reliant on grants and things at the moment. But we have a 3 to 5 year growth plan, which sees us being financially independent. A few businesses like a native nursery, which is currently our most successful business. That's this shelter up here, nested in the orchard. The native nursery, Mara, food gardens, and then education and a wellbeing clinic are slowly coming forth as well. So about 2 years into that sort of growth phase. And in the years since then, we've just set our sights, okay, let's see what we can run. Let's have some school groups through. We're not running permaculture courses or week-long intensives and things, but we're just engaging with the community. Dave, and from day one, Norman was going down to the marae and saying, how do I engage here? And what's the community need? And we've ever since had a beautiful relationship with Te Aho Marae, which is a non-iwi affiliated marae. It's for the community. It's sort of like a lot of urban marae are. And yeah, that's home away from home. But there's people who come out weekly to pot up in the nursery, grow the seedlings from seed sourced locally, because that's the whakapapa of that place, and the language of that place is in the seeds of that place. And they prick them out, and they go into the native nursery, standout areas. So all through this time, we're trying to build a bit of infrastructure. So what we have is some showers and wharepaku, composting toilets, tents and camping infrastructure. It was a big goal of us all to have art on the land, and Sam O'Sullivan, who couldn't be here unfortunately, he personally funded this beautiful archway. And more like that needs to come, so that people know the land's not about just being productive. It's not a place where you only come if you have mahi, where you briefly visit and then get out. It's like, just be here. The land doesn't have to only be productive. It doesn't have to only be nature that you visit and then leave again. Something else. I see your hand. I'll just say a couple of more things. So in this time, about 4 years, we've managed to install a lot of it with grants and funding that we applied for. Solar panels, which send water up to tanks on a hill. So we have good gravity-fed water from the spring. The incredible spring on the farm. Fresh, beautiful water.
And that water comes from Tara.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Gary Williams said that he's likely an aquifer coming from here. Look at it. Yeah. Grown the gardens, built the native nursery, nested in the orchards, and also adapted the orchards because we're not doing high yield commercial go of it. These are spaces for people to dwell and be. A lot of people come and they're just like, what? Apples are from trees? It's cool to see that. And people come to the garden and they say, my grandma gardened. And we'll just ask simple things like, oh, what's a food memory you have? Man, it just flows out of people. And they need it. They need that. So, so this is some of the things we've done over these last 4 years. Do you have a question?
Yeah, just sort of outside the idyllic, do you have any problems with wild goats or wild pigs, rabbits, possums? Do you have do you have to a management? Do you have to have a management system to deal with intrusive animals?
Yeah, we don't have goats. They're up the road. I don't know why they're not on the farm.
we did have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ask that question.
Good energy.
Well, I'm talking about wild ones, you know, I'm talking about wild animals.
I've seen it. The pigs, they don't come around so much. We occupy the land pretty well. But the deer are in. We have fallow deer. Luckily, we don't have the red deer because they're like really big.
Yeah.
The fallows we can handle. One of the orchards has this gorgeous fence around it, which I'm in the process of filling the holes because we
Right,
wanted
yeah.
to get in there in different ways. Yeah, there's rabbits. They're not as big of a thing since we stopped roaming the sheep around, so the grasses aren't as short. We don't have too many big problems. There are possums come in, but we also, as part of like the holistic vision, is people come to learn about one thing, but they're actually going to do a bunch of other things and not know they're learning about everything. We do trapping courses,
Yeah.
trap lines, so we're looking to regenerate that forest and waterway in every way. Yeah,
It's great pest management.
it is going well.
So, did you?
I'll finish it, yeah.
The total number of people that have come and been worked with you is stalking. What is
Yeah.
to that?
Yeah, I actually, here I have a couple of annual impact stories. I don't know if anyone wants to read them right now, but I'll chuck them out. This is like our annual report, but it's called a story.
Yeah.
And in here it shows how many people do come through the farm. It's like, several thousand visitors, and sometimes it's just people visiting because they're part of healthy families, Te Oranginui, Whanganui, and they know that we run a course. In the office that day, they're like, I don't want to do this. I've heard about this place, I'll just shoot up. People come through and we give them food from the garden.
Yeah.
That's a visitor. So I'll just,
And it's everybody, kids, old people.
yeah. And it's just, I can say it so many times, it's just a place for people. Sure, we don't want people just roaming in, and there's a work site as well. We try and, if people shop, try and host them well. And, here we have just a photo of, just a piece out of the re-veg plan for the stream. Whanganui River, Kawa Tupua. And we're just doing every year, plantings and maintaining them. And it's amazing, like the first year I was like, wow, how are we ever going to plant this whole stream out? And every year we've done some sourcing the seeds locally because that's what you do if you're really doing good re-veg. We're just this little section. That's a big watershed. So Araroa. Here in Mangahiti, the small stream that flows to the big flow, and we're lucky enough to be in a waterway that has a history and a name locally. I should have said already, the farm here is ancestral lands of Ngāroru and Pairangi. And we're lucky enough to be working with those hapu today a little bit. Just put through some of the plantings, because planted people love pictures.
Yeah.
This is a standout area in the nursery, so the seedlings, they grow to little things, they get potted up and they get stood out to get some wind and be stronger before going out. And you can see the apple orchard around it. This was a big area of just apple trees, and we were trying to figure out where to put the nursery. There's not a lot of flat land, working land at the farm. Do we take out just one side of the orchard in the nursery? And one day we just went, cool. It's just so much more beautiful design to have it integrated into the landscape.
Yeah, question.
Yeah.
Do you want me to stand there and click and you say next? I usually have one of those kind of people, and they're good.
Yeah.
And you can then just embrace the whole room.
Sure. I don't mind roaming back and forth, but if you want.
I'm very happy.
I can do it.
Nikesh is doing it.
Oh,
Maybe you can take my
great.
seat.
Do you want a seat? This is inside the nursery. These tables they're just like working zones. Sometimes the nursery folk are like, oh man, we need more space. But the point is, it's kind of a classroom first. So people go in there and as they're doing a trapping course at the table, they're also surrounded by the plants and the apples. And they might have questions like, where do all these apples go? Doesn't matter that you're in a trapping course. That's what we talk about. So yeah, go next. I'll just make sure I'm covering the things I thought I would. Yeah, next. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, we could flick through these. These are just a few people that come. Some of the stripping courses. Some of it might just be like deep ecology workshop, a connective workshop, but we're going to check out the baby planets and talk about how when it gets planted in the landscape, it might be there for 100 years, but you get to move around under it or something. There's ways of connecting. Yeah. Marakai. Here's just an area next to our long hothouse that was originally built to dry hemp, hey? You're growing rows of apples, but now it's a beautiful garden. And it's a school, and we've got the hui growing, hanging, having wānanga out in the orchard. This is just a wee wānanga before going and doing a kumara harvest. Yeah, groups coming through. Nice intuition, we guess. More groups, yeah, kids. Yeah, keep rolling. And yeah, let's just check here. Yeah, let's pause here for a bit. Just it's a good spot to have. Are there any questions? Anything not very clear about what I'm talking about? Because the vision's really broad. It's hard sometimes to be talking about the whole thing and get it all across.
Can you talk a bit about your relationship with Mana Whenua and the marae and how that's what? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and from the very beginning, we knew that this project it's not going to be a successful thing. We're not going to be doing what we think we need to be doing if we're not working with people of this place, or whatever place we ended up. And it's in Wanganui, with Ngāreru, Ngā Pairangi. Jeff Hipango at the local marae just accepted us immediately and said, yeah, what you're doing is really needed. And you seem to be taking your time appropriately and not just like bowling in. It's those things about not assuming that we could start a community. There's a community already there to serve. And, making sure that we are offering something before we're asking for something, even advice, even just going and asking for advice, that's someone's time. And someone who's Māori, who's in a place where they can offer advice or make decisions, they probably asked shitloads of questions from shitloads of people who really don't realize that they're taking at that time. That's how we rolled in. We've had feedback, which is received like, okay, cool, thank you. And acknowledge that when people give us good, strong feedback, they wouldn't do it if people don't offer feedback if they don't care about what you're doing. So there's some acknowledgement there too. But yeah, it's and a lot of the offerings that we have, just starting slow and starting small, that's been important because then people in their own time can come to a workshop, see what we're all about, because you don't come to one thing and not see anything else that's going on. And that way we've grown some small relationships, which have led to big relationships. So that thing of not wanting to take any funding from the Wanganui funding pool, it means that we've made sure to partner with other organisations like Te Aranganui Healthy Families, which is a kaupapa Māori service provider, or Te Ao Marae, Wanganui River Enhancement Trust, Ngā Tangata Tiaki, who's the post-settlement Wanganui River action group, governance group, partnering with people to seek funding. Like we can help apply for the funding, we can host this stuff, we have some programs, and if you want to run these with us, then we'll do that with you, and that's how we've done it. It's like you just got to be gentle and slow. Receive the feedback. It's one of the permaculture principles is self-regulate and receive feedback or apply feedback. So that's a massive one. And observe and interact. Yeah. Anything else about that I can speak to?
I'd like to ask, do you have a particular statement or philosophy about your relationship with Wanganui Awa? Like, your direct relationship with the river and what you're doing with it, and how you operate with the people when you're on the river. And
Nothing official comes to mind. Perhaps we do. I should say the spaces I work on the farm are in maintenance and infrastructure. I'm an educator, and I've been working in the orchards, and I'm very much a hands-on person. We all are involved in this organizational decision making. Those strengths lie with someone else. Sam or Emma might be able to go, yeah, we have this policy or vision statement. But what I can say is the wisdom of the river is laid down in the Te Awa Tupua Act. There are the kawa of the river, 4 statements that are held to be true. And people will be familiar with them if they don't know them all, like I am the river and the river is me. And that it's indivisible in its whole. It's also the source of all physical and metaphysical sustenance of the people of the area. And these statements, which are true, are basically we can say this wisdom's here. We're here to receive it and work with it where we can, and again receive that feedback. We ran a mulled apple juice, non-alcoholic apple beverage. Apple juice beverage, just amazing that Lindy and Murray developed and gifted to us. The first time we ran it, we had a picture of in the background there was the Wanganui River, and someone on Wanganui River Enhancement Trust said, "Oh, just so you know, you're capitalizing on the river there. You're using its image to sell this thing. You can't do that." You're like, "Oh God, thank you for telling us." Yeah.
How does this relate to that international story that went around the world about a river has been declared a person?
It's directly related. So in that act, it was I think in 2017, several things happened. The kawa were declared, these true things. Ngā Tangata Te Aki was set up to be the action group. And Te Kōpuka was set up as a group to work on a strategy group. The personhood was granted, and that's a big, beautiful thing. People say, "Oh, it's got the same rights as a human," but it's actually almost like it's got the same rights as a conglomerate, which is profound because a conglomerate has the same rights as a human. If you get what I'm saying there, it's like it's one of the many things. So I won't go into it. I'm not really the best person to talk to it, but there are a few others. But it makes a whole. The act had many parts, which creates a sovereignty of the river, a right to be and speak for itself that is parallel to the RMA, the Resource Management Act, that says people can use the river in a certain way. Well, actually, it needs to be passed by the river now, and to Po, the Po of the river, to people that are more than human now. They speak for the river. So it's a big world. It's really exciting and amazing and groundbreaking.
Yeah.
I would look into it if you are interested.
I'm curious about not capitalizing on the image of the river. I don't quite understand that. I know the Wanganui River Enhancement Trust has a logo itself, which is emblematic of the shape of the river.
I guess typically they aren't a business making money off of it. Right. Whereas just in that simple way, like we're a trust as well, but
yeah,
just selling the image. I think, maybe I won't go into that too much as well, but just simply using that image to make money.
Yeah. Right. Even if it's not profit making. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So I'll speak to some of our strengths and successes. Our strengths are our group cohesion. And clearly, last night I went and put a picture of all our faces in here, just so people can connect with that. But it's been left out, I think. And our group cohesion, we've come through a lot and managed to come through it pretty cohesive. Still, we haven't been challenged too deeply to the point where like, oh, is this not going to happen? We always knew it would. We just didn't know what shape it would take. And we're agile. So there's a huge strength as our group, our ability to make decisions and receive feedback. the land itself having the infrastructure it really did. It's a huge strength. We were invited in the early days of the Ho'opara Kore certification being offered to non-Māori organisations. We've just been through a 3-year process to get Ho'opara Kore certification, which is a Māori organics certification. Rob Small talked about it yesterday. And, there's sometimes a debate in permaculture. It's like, where's the spirit represented here? And there are ways it's represented. But a lot of the knowledge in permaculture is indigenous wisdom from here, from Australia, from all around the world. And I think it's really important, I think it's really valuable for Ho'opara Kore to be in the mix. In Ho'opara Kore courses, they're actively teaching permaculture. And I think permaculture should actively be teaching Ho'opara Kore principles. They're so aligned. And it feels like it fills in some of the gaps which are filled by other things sometimes, but with just a vitality that I haven't seen much. So the Ho'opara Kore certification, 3-year certification and a framework developed by Jess Hutchings and Joe Smith, 2 awesome mahine, and based on the whakapapa of that knowledge goes back a long way. So that's amazing. We just went through our whakamana certification, our certification ceremony, and we were the first non-Māori group ever. Awesome. Good man. And we've
Yeah,
run.
question about that.
Oh yeah.
So is the land, or the whole land certified? Is the Mara itself certified? Are you specifically, some individuals connected with the Mara certified together with the Mara? Who and what certified?
An area of the farm, a defined area.
Yeah.
It's got it on the map. We don't have pegs in the ground or anything. Within that area, we adhere to things that will uphold the mana of the landscape and the wairua. We adhere to some practices. So we will do a little bit of maybe like we might use in some circumstances some sprays outside of that area, cut stumping, vining weeds in the bush. But within that area, which includes some regenerating bush, orchards, anywhere we're growing kai, that area is certified. And yeah, the process you fill out a document in the first year, and the next 2 years, you're just working with that same document, filling it in, addressing any changes. It's so beautiful and simple. It's not so arduous like other organic certifications can be. Unfortunately, it is not held to be at the same. It doesn't have the same rights and privileges as international organic certifications. But to me, it's more important because it informed our entire organisation. It asked us, how are you upholding the mana of your workers? And we're like, oh, shit, I don't know if I've ever considered that. What's the whakapapa of the land? And we were able to answer some of that. And how are you upholding local mana whenua? And other organic certification doesn't do that. So it's way more important to me. You can look into that in your own time. Ho'opara Kore through Te Waka Kaiora. And we've run 2 really beautiful and successful in many ways learning experiences. We've run many, but the 2 I want to draw on are 2 manawa ora, a week-long camp, and Te Hoiroa, a long paddle, in reference to paddling the waka on the Whanganui River, the journey from, the journey of life, which was a 7-month program run. Both of them were run in collaboration with Te Ranganui. We were hosting them, but the main facilitators were from Te Ranganui, which is just perfect because it's a lot to do just on your own. So they were beautifully successful, and we unfortunately didn't get the contract with Te Ranganui to do that again this year. So we're actually just pivoting a little bit. We're still managing to get by financially, but focusing on other things like the nursery and running smaller courses. So it's not all sunshine. It's challenging at times as well. Oh, people are clapping. What's the time?
I've got like 5 minutes to go.
You can hear your voice coming through.
Challenges. Yeah. Capacity. Started this project. I was on the dole for 2 years while we were on the land, and I'm so glad that was there. Like, that's what it's for. We were starting businesses, and then we started paying ourselves for half the time we do. As the nursery made some sales, we ran some courses, and some of the initial fundraising we did, crowdsourcing, gave us some operational expenses for wages, and then we paid ourselves living wage. And now we have a sort of a 2-tier pay system where everyone's at least paid living wage. We have 13 employees now.
Jeez.
I know. It's actually there's a lot of weight. I have to look after people.
Yeah.
And if you've been there for more than a year, it's sort of around $30, and it's amazing, and it's special because now I'm not on the dole. I'm more financially secure than I've ever been. It's really hard going at first. Like you can kill yourself for a project you really care about. But we're coming through. This is the first year where it feels like we're taking breaths, but it's been hard. I've seen my mates really unwell, and working so hard, and we still will at times. But we have people coming in who are saying, "I see what you're doing, and I actually want to work with you," and we're able to pay them. It's amazing. Young people who've been on the courses have a job with us. Locals have a job with us. So that's been a challenge, but it's there. And funding is a challenge too. Like I said, we don't have debt. Yay, that's cool, but we still rely on grants. And we are always open to funding. We're not very good at saying, hey, we need money, but we are asking. But also slowly growing as businesses. Not receiving this contract. It's a challenge. We just got to hold on to those people we just hired. We hired three people at the start of this year, and we can hold on to them, but it just means we do things a bit differently. Maybe I don't build the new implement shed, but I work a day with Flourishing Waterways, our ecological environment team. So that's a challenge. And then just the challenges that we all face in the world. Hope can be sometimes hard to find, but so I live in a bubble sometimes, and when I travel to, say, Wellington and speak to some of my friends down there, I realise we've got a lot of hope because we have quite meaningful work.
Yeah.
But the challenges are there, and connectivity, which is this community also. I think when we get together, we go, "Oh, this feels really good," but then we go back, and the people who are here are often land workers, birth workers, people working on farms and things, and it's quite easy to have your hoods up there. Let's see what's next. Oh, cool. People in the garden, coming from the coconut patch. Yeah, so I think that's sort of the things I wanted to cover. Is there any questions I can answer at this point?
It's a little way back in what you were sharing. But thank you for your sharing. It's so interesting. Emma and your partner are Waiheke, and they went down there and Waiheke so missed them. Because they are treasures, but it's lovely to see what you've been doing.
Yeah, the powerful people.
Yeah, they are. And you talked about consensus and consent. Can you speak a little bit more to how you see the difference between those two?
Not very well, but I can speak a little bit.
Yeah, just really a little.
I'm not well versed in consensus decision making. There's a way it happens, and everyone needs to agree. And consent, not everyone needs to agree, but for a decision to get passed, just no one needs to block it.
Okay, so that is because I'm asking because I work in a community that works with consensus, and what you described as consent is what our consensus is.
And here's the thing, I think a lot of the time consensus isn't really actually followed,
Right.
but naturally people are drawn to consent with one another and work it out.
Yeah.
So I'm not very good at talking about this.
Okay.
I'm
Can I
good
just add?
Take
So
part in
in the
everything.
consent under the banner of sociocracy, it's good enough for now, safe enough to try. So it takes the pressure off.
Right, yeah.
Do we'll review it in a month or something like that.
And,
Just go.
and you'd only block if it was like I think that would jeopardize everything or reverse some hard work that's been done.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's really helpful because we're working on that. So thank you as well for that. I'm just interested in how you differentiate it.
Yeah, no problem. There's definitely things I haven't covered that I need to. It's hard for me to pull them out. But if no one's feeling particularly like curious about anything I haven't talked about yet,
There are more slides and we go click, click, click. That. Like that.
let's see.
Yeah, yay!
Can I just say something here?
Yeah.
So I've been in Wanganui about 3.5 years and been popping in and out over that time. And I'm sure Lindy could probably say the similar thing to me through the observation of what's happened over that period of time. It is absolutely incredible, and it's difficult to communicate in an hour or however long it's been shared about what's being done. I can see it when I see the photos, but it is on another level.
It is, as a ripple effect, Leo, you know, and that we hear, and the many ripples in the whole the community of Wanganui, and so many people that I connect with have all heard of it and know of it and are inspired and moved by it, and you know, working to plant, and there are 300 or 400 people, and there are babies and there are elders, and there's lots and lots of collegiality. And the beauty, I just burst into tears a short time ago, and it's just things are growing and being planted. Yeah, there's such fertility.
Yeah, I'm in like constant awe about what is being able to be achieved by the group of people that this group has been able to.
Yeah, they are.
So this was some of those starting folks. Emma was here yesterday, her partner Cameron from Waikiki. Dave was chair of the Permaculture Council. I was a counsellor at one point. Sam's a clinical psychologist, and Julie a counsellor and movement therapist. Katrina does our pest control and works for DOC as well. Ness is a community engagement person. She's just amazing at weaving in communities, and I'm just a jack of all, master of meaning. So there's some faces for this, bit of an older. We don't describe ourselves like this anymore, but at a time we thought we needed to be a bit shinier, more like approachable. So I'll just flick through. There's some other things I think I put these in as a point of reference. Just some of the things we've changed. Speaking about designing, or design systems. So we had these 2 orchards, and I'll flick back to this one. Well, we can maybe, but it was 100 meters by 100 meters of trees here, and they were so densely planted because you were looking to do high density, high yield, and beautiful Monty Surprise apple and others. Same for in here, there were wires along the road for espalier. But we realized it was really hard to make a decision. We realized we needed these spaces to be more than just for the trees and for people. So when we decided to integrate the nursery, we knew we needed around about that size to get fire engines in if we want to do building and other things.
The design components.
And it used to be, design component. It used to be the road went around here. I guess we could flick back one. This was the road here. And we were like, should we put the roundabout here? And, you know, with lots of options. And then if you'll come floating in, we just went, the road goes through the middle. And from this point, you can actually see up this beautiful valley. And suddenly we have the orchard. You drive through it. You're invited into it. Every person that comes, they go into the orchard. Even the mailman, I can say, hey, have you been out the back yet? You should just go for a drive. And it's not like he just kind of sees it from the edge. He drives through it. And then putting the nursery and the standout areas in, and there's another one just gone in here. These are management units now. And there's still hundreds of trees.
There are.
The same over here, the road used to go up and around here. Now it goes in. We've just built this big propagation house. Cool, we're starting to get the infrastructure we need. That's a classroom. It's one of our only dry spaces in the room, actually, in here. And we took every second tree out, basically, which is really heavy on my heart. Taking food, productive, carbon sequestering trees out. But now that space, before it was, those trees were getting big, in the last couple of years, and the branches were like this.
Yeah.
And now they're not, and people wander in there. And that's, if I see a person just wandering in, looking around like this, well, I feel fulfilled, like the place is doing what it's meant to, because that person's feeling peaceful. Maybe they're having a memory of their grandparents' trees. It's kind of a cliche, but people are always having memories of their grandparents' gardens and things.
Yeah.
So this land is held by a trust. So it's not like I'm not sure. Someone asked me, I'm not sure if it's like protected by covenant. But we know that if our trust goes under, the land must be ceded or given to an organisation of similar values.
Yeah.
Probably going to be the iwi, but then someone's got to manage it. Don't know if that'll ever happen. But it feels like it's outside of private ownership. It's for everyone. A lot of people are disconnected from land that they can have a connection with. But they can do that here, and it's unfettered by the need for making money off the land necessarily. Or someone, it's like, oh, no, that's my cousin's land now, it had to be sold to that side of it. Just, you can come once, have an incredible connection, and come back in 20 years and go, oh, it's still a place that I'm allowed to have a connection with. So I talk about that quite a bit.